if you've come from one of my previous videos with a similar title, you're at this point very confused. After all, the name of that video is Why Your Mom Cannot Invest in Your Tech Startup. But in this video, I'm saying your mom can own shares in your tech startup. Why? The difference is in those different words that I used. So if you go back to that video, you see that I talk about accredited investors. Except your mom is an accredited investor, she cannot invest in your tech startup. The reason is the SEC has created certain exemptions to registration. Registration is basically the steps used to go public. So all the statements that a public company has to make before they can go public, that's what registration is. Now, if you don't want to go through all of that hassle, the SEC has created certain exemptions that you can follow. And if you follow those exemptions, you don't have to register with the SEC and you can offer your shares. But most of those exemptions apply to accredited investors. An accredited investor is simply an investor that has made $200,000 in the last 2 years and expects to make the same $200K this year as well. Or they are worth $1 million if you remove their primary residence. In that calculation, you cannot include the primary residence they live in. It has to be other property and other sources of net worth. Now, so if your mom doesn't meet one of those requirements of being an accredited investor, then she cannot invest in your tech startup. Now, there's a separate rule, however, and this rule, interestingly, was made for employees. So you're at this point, if you're familiar with anything startup related, you know that startups typically issue stock options to their employees. They either issue stock awards or stock options. How do they do this? After all, most of their employees are not accredited, right? Remember again, if you've watched my previous videos, every single transaction that has to do with a security, that's shares, SAFEs, convertible notes, everything has to have an SEC exemption. If not, it has to be registered. That's the rule. So including shares that you're issuing to your employees have to have either an exemption or be registered. But you also know at this point that most startups don't register their shares until they go public. So how do they issue stock to their employees? And it's through a rule called Rule 701. Rule 701 allows a startup to issue shares to its employees if they're doing that under a compensation plan, a written compensation plan. That same rule, however, makes an exemption for gifting of shares, but only to family members. So you can, under that rule, gift shares to your mom, even if she cannot purchase it. But you want to reward her for either previously investing in a previous startup, or she's just been someone that's believed in you for a long time and you want to give her shares to take care of her long term. So that's the way you could do it. You gift her shares under Rule 701. But again, Rule 701 requires that it's a family member. So it's a mom, dad, brother, sister, directly related family member. It cannot be like a third, fourth cousin down the road. It has to be pretty tight. And under that rule, you can issue shares to them as a gift. Now, the other part of that exemption is it also allows you to issue shares if it's part of a domestic court order of some sort. So the court order is that, hey, you own this company and you're getting a divorce or anything similar, and you're to issue a certain number of shares to your going to be ex-wife, then under the same rule, you can issue shares to that person and it will all be legal. So let me know if you have any questions. Leave a comment in the comment section if you do. See you guys in the next one. Bye.